I'm Darnell Hunt, Director of the Ralph Bunche Center for African American Studies here at UCLA. It's my pleasure this evening to welcome you to this very exciting talk by President Kenneth David Kaunda. Let me first announce some of the co-sponsors of this event. We have the James S. Coleman African Studies Center, and we have Al Roberts representing the center. We have the UCLA Black Faculty and Staff Association, represented by Alex Tucker. We have the UCLA Black Alumni Association, represented by its president, Mangla Kaise. We have the Dashu International Center, represented by Duta Kalamariam. And we have the African Diaspora Foundation, represented by Gripa Zozo. And without further ado, Al Roberts.
I just want to add my welcome to President Kaunda. It's such an honor to have him here, and just welcome all of you as well as Director of the James S. Coleman African Studies Center. I know that a lot of you already know this, but just in case a few of you don't, the James S. Coleman African Studies Center was founded in 1959. It has had funding from the U.S. Department of Education as a national resource center since 1959. And it really, the history of the center has had many kinds of ins and outs with Zambian history as well. And so what I'd like to do is to invite our colleague Dick Sklar, who's an emeritus professor in political science, who is an expert in Zambian studies himself, to come forward and just talk a little bit about the history of Zambian studies here at UCLA, and also then further introduce our distinguished guest, Dick Sklar.
Thank you very, very much. I really suspect that Dr. Kaunda knows much more about the historic UCLA-Zambia relationship than most of us would imagine. And I have just a few reflections on the topic, which may help to stimulate his own recollections and those of others who may be here. My starting point, and undoubtedly the principal historic linkage between Zambia and UCLA, is the late Arthur N. Weiner, Minister of Finance in the independence government of 1964. Arthur Weiner had been a graduate student at UCLA in 1962, along with Dr. Migusi Ayele and President Vander, both here tonight. But at that time, in 1962, Dr. Kaunda summoned Arthur Weiner to New York to participate in deliberations on Zambian independence at the United Nations, to lead the Committee on Colonialism. With the blessing of his academic mentor at UCLA, the late Professor James Coleman, for whom the UCLA Center is named, Arthur Weiner transferred from UCLA to UNIP, the United National Independence Party, under the mentorship of our distinguished visitor. Previously, Arthur had been an undergraduate at Makerere College in Uganda. In 1953, he published a poem in the student magazine in which he used the word Zambia for Northern Rhodesia. So we might say that there is a tenuous relationship between UCLA and the concept of I became acquainted with Arthur Weiner in Zambia when I was a member of the academic staff of the new university. 37 years ago, in 1966, I was present at the installation of President Kaunda as Chancellor of the University of Zambia. On that occasion, the University of California as a whole was represented by Arthur's academic mentor, Professor Kaunda. In a Commonwealth University of British tradition, unlike one of our own, to be Chancellor is like being head of state without being head of government. But nearly all of us who were members of the academic staff at the University of Zambia, from the Vice Chancellor, my good friend Dr. Douglas Anglin, on down, all of us nearly, were Kaundists by conviction. We were inspired by the President's vision of non-racial democracy for Central and Southern Africa. Indeed, his name was synonymous with the very principle of non-racial democracy. We were proud to be part of a cosmopolitan academic staff consisting of scholars from all parts of the world in an embattled country serving under President Kaunda's leadership. Even today, when we meet one another, whether by chance or design, we pay tribute to those unforgettable years. Over the years, several outstanding Zambian scholars earned doctorates at UCLA. Among them, Vukani Nyirenda in social welfare, who held various positions of public trust, including, as I recall, Registrar of the University of Zambia, the musicologist Isaac Mapoma, the historians Shipasha Muchembe and Maud Mukemba, all of whom made important contributions to the University of Zambia. The intellectual relationship between UCLA and Zambia is very substantially Zambian. It will be strengthened shortly, that relationship, when Cambridge University Press publishes a widely anticipated book about politics in Zambia by our American colleague Daniel Posner, who conferred with Dr. Kaunda during the course of his research. UCLA has also been an integral part of the relationship between the city of Los Angeles and Lusaka. Indeed, there has been, and may still be, an official sister city relationship. In 1979, I accompanied the late mayor of Los Angeles, Tom Bradley, to Lusaka. Our delegation included UCLA Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Charles Z. Wilson. At State House, President Kaunda personally poured tea for all members of our delegation, with the assistance of his principal advisor on foreign affairs, Mark Cho. Little things like that make a lasting impression. They reflect the nature of a man who leads by moral example, the nature of one who has written many state papers of lasting value based on his distinctive philosophy of humanism, of a statesman whose post-presidential leadership and devotion to humane causes resembles that of Jimmy Carter in this country. We honor and welcome him today as a man of conscience and faith in his exemplary service to Africa and the world. It is my privilege to introduce President Kaunda.
every day of my life, keeping stay with Jesus. Sir, how can I thank you for the kind thing you said about me? I'm truly humble. And I'm sure that our personal friendship will continue. Let me begin by expressing my appreciation to Mr. Daniel Hunt, Director of Ralph Bunche Center, Dr. Alan Roberts, Director of James Coleman African American Studies Center, the UCLA Black Alumni, the USA Black Faculty and Staff, the National International Center, the African Diaspora Foundation for organizing this very moving event. To the members of this distinguished academy, it is a pleasure to be at this esteemed and internationally renowned institution of higher education. There are a number of reasons why. First of all, as much as I'm enjoying my time at the African Presidential Archives and Research Center at Boston University, thanks to my young ambassador, you see, when you're an old man, you can afford to call ambassadors young. February in Los Angeles is much more appealing than February in Boston. I hope I don't be fired. Not only have I been made feel at home because of the hospitality extended to me, but the climate here is very familiar to this old freedom fighter from Zambia. Secondly, I'm happy to be here to salute the statesmen and stateswomen you have produced, who have been on the cutting edge in terms of advocating progressive policies by the United States of America toward the nation states of Africa. I'm talking about people like former Congressman Ron Dillons, Nev Dinelli, and Johan Berg, to name a few. I salute these men and women for the efforts to place the range of issues facing Africa on the America's radar screen. From apartheid to AIDS, HIV/AIDS. I would ask those of you in the audience to join me in a round of applause for such leaders and leadership. Thirdly, I'm glad to be here at this university because it is a famous place. Your championship tradition is legendary. I don't know much about basketball, but even I have heard of the Wizard of Westwood. I was tempted to say one Zambia, one nation. On a different note, I'm glad to be here to have an opportunity to share a few things about where I think the world is right now and the positive impact that stronger ties between Africa and USA can have on the world today. So, in terms of where the world is today, let me start with the most obvious. September September 11th dramatically changed the world. Certainly, the impact on the United States was the most dramatic. But all of us around the world felt a little less secure after that day. While the loved ones of the victims grieved, we grieved too, because you are our brothers and sisters. But also because we too were victims of terrorism. In Tanzania, where our good friend Ambassador State served, and in Kenya, the overwhelming numbers of casualties were Kenyan and Tanzanians. And lest we forget the extent to which Africans have been victims, we only have to look back a few months ago when terrorism reared its ugly head again in Kenya. 9/11 changed the world. In the months after the bombing, the U.S. economy lost $1 trillion in value. In Africa, President of the World Bank, James Wolfson, commented that after September 11th, with the drop off in tourism and the chill on investment, Africa's economies lost billions. The world has changed dramatically. Lest you think my message this morning, this evening, is all doom and gloom, let me say that I come to bring a word of hope. As a man of faith, I believe, as the Old Testament prophet reminds us, and I quote, though there be weeping at midnight, joy cometh in the morning. End of quote. As tough as things seem to be, I think, in fact they are, we can know a little better. We can know a better day. We can know a better day, hopefully within our time, lifetime. These eyes have seen a lot over the 78 years the Lord has blessed me to live. And I've looked around, right, as an old teacher, I've looked around already, and I've seen that I'm the oldest here. I have seen the world band together to turn back the scourge of Nazism. I have seen Americans band together to overcome segregation and usher in an era of civil rights. In my own country, I have seen Zambians band together and non-violently bring freedom to full flowers. Against all odds, people of the world banded together to isolate the apartheid regime of old in South Africa, enabling South Africa's sons and daughters to usher in the dawn of a new day of hope and community. I truly believe it is possible to know true peace in our time and authentic human community. But let me add, just like those other things didn't just happen, neither will the kind of change we seek. Sisters and brothers, we need each other. We need each other. In addition to the movie industry, this region is at the epicenter of oil interests in this country. You have a special appreciation for the special connection between the United States and Africa. Nigeria presently supplies, I believe, about 10% of the oil. Exploration by U.S. oil interests is increasing all across the continent. Angola, Gabon, are several of the countries, to name a few. As the picture in the Middle East continues to be unsettled, this special connection between Africa and the USA will become even more important. U.S. economic security is tied to African economic security. I emphasize the point, U.S. economic security is tied, perhaps I should add, very much tied to African economic security. My brothers and sisters, we need each other. But the need we have for each other is thicker than oil. The world needs U.S. leadership, and the U.S. needs global partnership. Let me repeat that the world needs U.S. leadership, and the U.S. needs global partnership. Despite the unsettled state of things in the world today, the United States still has the world's most dynamic economy. It is the engine that drives global commerce. Despite the vulnerability 9/11 exposed, the United States still has the world's most powerful military. Despite the controversy over things like who gets to play golf at Augusta, National Golf Course, and Senator Trump, lots romanticizing about good old days of the old South, America is still the world's most successful and enduring multiracial and multicultural democracy. The world needs American leadership. But despite America's economic power and military power, in an era of suicide bombers and hijackers who turn planes into guided missiles, power has its limits. Like the world needs American leadership, America needs global partnership. America needs global partnerships. America's national security is related to the economic security of other corners of this one world. To say it in a way consistent with the threat of fanaticism personified by Osama bin Laden, America can defeat bin Laden, but if it doesn't defeat bin Ladenism, you will have won the battle but lost the war. The basis for the kind of partnership the United States needs to build are things like the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, more commonly known as AGOA. Fanaticism can only thrive in the darkness of despair and desperation. When people hope and when people have hope and opportunity, they are not interested in suicide, nor are they prone to hate. Allow me to add that, to emphasize that point. When people have hope an opportunity, they are not interested in suicide, nor are they drawn to it. Through fair and open trade, the economies of developing countries grow. And as a result of that growth, the people in those countries will have an opportunity to fulfill their God-given potential. It is harder for fanatical elements. It is harder for fanatical elements to hide in countries illuminated by prosperity and hope. As is the case in any partnership, there are responsibilities on both sides. On the American side, fair and open trade and investment incentives are what you bring. From our side, Africa has a responsibility to create environments that are conducive to investment. There are a number of us elders on the continent, like this fellow, myself, Mandela, Masire from Botswana, who have led the way on democracy and economic reform. I just left South Africa a few weeks ago, and I can tell you that the new generation of leaders, like Mbeki, Mkapa, Obasanjo, Chisano, Mwanawasa, among others, are as committed to democratization and economic reform as we were when we led our country. As a matter of fact, when the African Union was formed this past summer in Durban, South Africa, it was a statement that Africa's future, hope, and promise are best served by democratic and economic reform. The African Presidential Archives and Research Center at Boston University released its African Leaders State of Africa report only last week, which documents the monumental changes taking place on the continent. On the continent of Africa. On the economic front, the progress in South Africa, Zambia, Mauritius, etc., makes clear that Africa is more than the sum of its problems. On the political front, some of the world's most promising young democracies are in places like Benin, Botswana, Mali, Malawi, Mozambique, Tanzania, Senegal, Cape Verde, and Ghana. The others, of course. These are the kinds of partnerships America needs. And this is the kind of partner Africa is prepared to be. Another area where this partnership comes into play is in the battle against HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS is a horrible disease with devastating consequences. The problem was just starting to increase in the last days of my presidency, and even close at home, it took the life of my own son. It is a horrific disease impacting countries all over the planet. Who knows for certain where it really started? But the one thing I do know is that it will only end when the fight against it is waged everywhere. As we have seen, as this global pandemic has spread, this virus doesn't respect national boundaries. This virus doesn't respect color. This virus respects nothing on this earth. The reality of AIDS anywhere is a threat to people everywhere. This is the point I'm making. You in America have a head start, of course, compared to the rest of the world. You are battle tested in the fight against AIDS, and you have resources. We in Africa can learn from your experience. We in Africa can learn from your experience. One of the things that I will do while I'm in Los Angeles is meet with Bishop Charles Blake and the leadership of West Angeles Church to look at opportunities to collaborate on conquering the challenge posed by AIDS. But in addition to your experiences, we do need access to resources to successfully fight this battle. Just as the case in our economic partnership, in this partnership, there are responsibilities on both sides. On our side, we have to be more proactive and savvy about prevention. That is critical to keep our people from dying from AIDS. And we also need to develop strategies to help people living with HIV/AIDS. This obviously starts with treatment. The AIDS cocktail and Europine to prevent mother-to-child transmission. But there is another population that has to live with AIDS, or should I say, live with effects of HIV, of AIDS. And when I mention this, always my mind gets soaked in tears, and that is the orphans. Through my foundation, this area is a much neglected area that I have chosen to focus on. My brothers and sisters, this is an area where I could use your help. My brothers and sisters, this is an area where I could use your help. We need your help in negotiating with drug companies for more affordable prices. I believe the drug companies have a right to a profit. How else are they going to stay in business and fund the research so necessary to furthering medical advances? But having said that, there must be a point of compromise between what is profitable and what is affordable, so that we don't wind up sacrificing fellow human beings on the altar of greed. On the altar of greed. Sisters and brothers, let me close by saying that the model of partnership and progress I have talked about is not new. In Los Angeles, you have shown what working together across color and community lines can come to. Blacks, whites, and browns working together to make LA a world-class city. It is this same sort of model, Americans working with Africans, working with Asians, working with Latinos, working with Europeans, working with Aborigines to make this planet on which we live a world-class community. It is a model that is about promoting a partnership resulting in trade and investment, in promoting international understanding and cooperation. A partnership resulting in us lifting up the fallen. Lifting up the fallen. It's a partnership that will culminate in achieving our shared objective to bring us closer, to bring our ties closer. That is, ties between Africa and USA. Santa we rise and fly. Girls of Africa, rise and shine. In the name of great Africa, we shall fight and conquer it. Forward, ever, backward, never. In the name of great Africa, we shall fight and conquer it. We shall fight and conquer it. We shall fight and conquer it. In the name of great Africa, we shall fight and conquer it. I'm sitting here.
At this time, President Kaunda is going to take any questions you may have to follow up. Yes, Mayor.
My name is Number, Chief Executive Officer for Africa. We are currently implementing the AIDS Collective Education in Cameroon. The question that I have is, United Nations, in one of its press releases, stated that the war against AIDS is a war against ignorance. Given the tremendous toll that AIDS has had in Africa, what are the real barriers to providing AIDS education, effective AIDS education to Africans? Is it the lack of government will, or is it the lack of resources? Thank you.
I'm afraid both. In some cases, our leaders don't talk about it. It's point about it. In others, leaders don't know what AIDS is all about, what it means. We have heard so much about what Uganda has achieved with respect. These days, the chairman, we are also talking about Zambia. Since our campaign started. You need to talk to people about this disease without fear. Without fear. When my son died of AIDS, 23rd December 1986, 2 weeks after, I held a press conference at which I announced that my son had died of AIDS. I did that to help my country, to help my continent. And of course, the result is that I've been invited to attend and address many AIDS conferences, international conferences on AIDS in various parts of the world. That has helped too. Helped us in Zambia. I have myself tested. I'm going to test, find out whether I'm positive or negative. Because we need to tell the people in Africa, in every part of the world, that this is a disease and doesn't cure by a diseased person raping a 6-month-old child. But that is seen as a cure, making things worse. We need to go all out there and tell everybody that abstinence is the best medicine, best cure. Abstain. Abstain. If you can't abstain, for goodness sake, use a condom. A female condom, male condom. They are there. Now, you hear what happened to me when I began talking about use a condom, female or male, I was condemned by judges. This man is Satan. So I replied, I said, look, fellows. The millions who have died were also Christians. Some of them, at least most of them are Christians. And they didn't survive because they were Christians. They died under your leadership. And after that, if you allow them to use condoms, female or male, you will find them alive tomorrow. You teach them and help them become good Christians and abstain. If you don't do that, you will also die, like those who have finished already. So what I'm saying is our leaders must go all out and talk about AIDS openly. By the way, I made a statement after my test, and I told the world, if I had been found positive, I would have gone all out to tell everybody I was found positive. And I'm going to use that now to make myself behave better and help others behave better. I was found negative, so I kept that way. So, testing is very important. You must go all out there and test. We should not abuse, insult, chase out of our homes those who are suffering with AIDS. They are our own children. They are us, they are part and parcel of us. So we must keep them, look after them, help them. And finally, we have problems of poverty. Here in the West, you are able to survive. Even if you are HIV infected by disease, you are able to eat 3 square meals a day. It helps a lot. In Africa, we are poverty stricken, and therefore the disease kills you very easily. So all these are angles which are important, which our leaders must talk about, which some of our leaders are talking about, but most of our leaders are not yet talking about it. So my task as an old man is to go out there and talk to my leaders about the importance of them talking about these things openly and helping people to produce food, be able to eat properly. That will help them. Patients live a little longer. 100 and $1,000 per month in the West. In Africa, we depend on $1. That's the difference. Too big. With that type of difference, millions have perished on conflict. 4 years ago, I lost 13 million. 4 years later, I have lost 18 million, up to 18 million. 25 million live with HIV, with AIDS. How many of those would have died by the time we have lived for another 4 years from now? So, lessons are very important. My dear young man, we have got to tell our leaders what I'm telling you here. And that's what I'm telling our leaders on the continent. And a good number of our good leaders are doing this very well, but some are not yet. They need to be helped, not condemned, but helped to understand what their responsibilities are in this particular field.
Yes, right here in the front.
My name is Ralph Bunche Center. Zambia. Myself and a couple of my colleagues are getting ready to set up an organization for HIV institutions and specific attention to treatment. And actually, that's the instrument that actually is helped give some advice. Is your foundation, I think, is might be
Yes.
My name is Dr. Ella Taylor. I am a research faculty member in neuropsychiatry, and I work in the area of HIV/AIDS. There's a parallel between AIDS on the continent and AIDS in the central cities here in the United States, where most of those people infected are people of color, like ourselves. One of the things that we have found to be extremely helpful is to teach community groups how to educate members of their own community about their own condition. There is a correlation between developing protective behaviors in individuals, politicizing themselves, and the consequent health behaviors that develop. And I would suggest that while you're here, if you have the time, that you avail yourself of the broad knowledge base that we have, not only in terms of the virology and the physical aspects of the illness, but the social psychological aspects of the illness. That might be the type of thing that might help you. And as you said, joy cometh in the morning. I think that there are things that can be done to educate people themselves, to confront their fears, and to then take on the proactive behaviors that you would like to see, rather than waiting in some type of linear way for things to change. That's just something for you to consider, sir.
I have already considered. And saying to my junior boss, please take care of my daughter. If I was going to play golf in order to play my playing golf tomorrow, would stop the meeting with you, I'm going to cancel my golf. Seriously, we make arrangements. I must meet you, learn from you. But thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Dr. Kaunda, this may be a difficult, but could you explain to us the problem in South Africa, reason for reluctance, South African leadership to seize the mantle and to realistically address the problem up to now? It's something that we find it very hard to understand.
I think the difficulty with President Mbeki is that he followed the advice of some specialists from here.
Wow.
And I was fortunate enough to take to him another American who produces some stuff from blend. Trouble is that when you speak about the president, you've got to be careful what you say. So, I can only say that, yeah. This man produced something which is unique. And I think, especially in South Africa, like many others, I found that quite useful. I myself, I found it very useful. Using knowledge that took him to this man to make it, also President Kaunda, took him to President Moi of Kenya, So I think it will be social.
Yes, right here.
Lisa Wilmer, I'm Paula Tabro. I teach at a school called the Health in trying to slow this epidemic among young women who are needing money for school fees, for clothes, for all sorts of things, and it looks like that the economic necessity of young women is putting them in great risk.
Yeah, it's an extremely difficult question. I felt poverty in our poverty in Africa. One of the most difficult problems. When in my foundation, Kenneth David Children of Africa Foundation, we have opened 5 schools. All those children live with their parents, or if parents have died. And that's a common problem. And also the million State Department gives the figure 1.25 million orphans. Of those, we don't know how many went to school. Out of million, Kenneth David Kaunda school foundation has started 5 schools. There are some government schools, few. What I'm saying is it's a terrible problem. It's I don't know. How do I put this? When we took over from the British colonial power in 1964, we used copper money very well. We built schools, private schools all over the country. We found 100 university graduates only. 100 university graduates. My witness. 100 university graduates out of the population of 4 million. And 1,120 young men and women who had done their senior secondary schooling. We built primary schools all over the country without discrimination. That's why I was shouting here, one Zambia, one nation. No discrimination against any of our tribes. All the same, one Zambia, one nation. We built secondary schools, colleges, 2 universities. We built dispensaries in all parts of the country, including 1 district hospital in every town of 40 states. We built 9 general hospitals, 1 in each province, 9 provinces, ending with construction of university teaching hospital. We produced many medical doctors, paramedics, scientists, engineers, thousands of teachers. I'm sorry to say, a good number of those have gone, died, AIDS, taken. So our efforts to put into school education, health services, seem to become nothing. So this is how this things, how serious this thing is. Of those 25 schools, old men, old women looking after their grandchildren. But the majority of them, the greatest majority of them, are not going to school at all. What we had patched up, what we had done to put right what the colonialists did wrong, we're now overtaken. We're overtaken by this AIDS problem. So that it is a very, very serious problem which I'm glad that some of our young people here are trying to do something to assist us. And it's not just Zambians. I'm saying all of you, sisters and brothers, here gathered, and those who may not be here tonight, find a way of helping us. I can promise you that whatever you help us with, money, medicine, what have you, it will be used properly. Because we believe that unless that happens, this scourge, the impact on the nations of Africa by this HIV AIDS will be so bad already. It's going to grow worse. So please, I don't know whether I can put any stronger than I've done in the time of the question.
Thank you for coming today. My name is Scott Chaplow. I work with the United Nations Office of the Special Coordinator of Africa and the least developed countries for the past few years. And I'm specifically looking at HIV/AIDS in Africa right now from a policy perspective. And there's a poverty cycle going on where you have things like food insecurity and malnutrition, making people who are HIV infected are more susceptible to diseases, and it's a spiral down. And then there's a loss in labor with people dealing with this crisis, and then you have less food production. And that's just one example. It also plays into things like conflict and so forth. And there's also a general decrease in the last decade of ODA going to Africa, overseas development assistance. In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk and emphasis on NAPAC as a possible strategy for Africans themselves to try to address these problems. And having said what I've said, I'm just kind of curious how you feel or what your perspective is towards NAPAC and the emphasis of African states and African people themselves addressing some of this in light of the decrease in aid overall that's been going to Africa.
Yeah, I did refer my opening remarks to AGOA. I think a combination of ideas, I'm saying ideas because not yet put into practice, not been implemented yet. So the idea of AGOA and NEPAD, if these were implemented, they will make no difference. A great deal of difference in the continent. But if we have just talked about it, then they'll come to nothing. I did say earlier on that you have people like Mbeki of South Africa, or Basanto of Nigeria, my brother of Senegal, Bouteflika of Algeria. I see these people, I'm avoiding saying young people because Senegalese man is 74, so I'm going to be careful. I see a team of that type can help us a lot in beginning to implement ideas like Nepal and helping the American government to appreciate how AGOA could be implemented. So in connection with Nepal. So young people like yourself, my dear young man, can get a chance to go through my brother here, who has been to Africa several times, who understands what we're talking about. Talk to him about this and see how he sees Angola and Nepal working together. He knows many more here who are here can help put these ideas together. We need to put them into practice instead of just talking about them. Very useful, very good thing, very good ideas. And we want the ideas to be put into practice. And I'll be waiting, I won't die until it goes.
Back here.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle, and I'm an undergraduate African Studies minor here. And my question is what is your opinion on the new pill that has been introduced to be given to pregnant women? I believe it's called ACT, but I'm not sure. What's your opinion on the pill and the fact that not much research has been done for it? Do you think it would be a help, or might in the long run not help us?
I'm afraid I'm just as ignorant as you are, my dear. So I can't advise you. I'm also waiting to see what the specialists will tell us about it. Then we can talk. Next time I come, ask the same question.
Last question, perhaps?
My name is Raina. I'm from Zambia. I'm a student. Not here, but I've passed it. My question is, after having done all the good things we did in Southern Africa, in all the countries in Southern Africa, which are independent now, they owe a lot to the world. And now that you are working so hard in these AIDS, and then do you feel that you really need to get into health school?
My advisor, what do you think? Seriously, I don't know about it, but I want to say that my leaders in the area have said some very kind things about it. I remember 8th August 2000. I was invited to go and explain to our leaders who were meeting in Namibia, Windhoek. I went to explain to them what I was doing about this fight. And after I explained to them, President Chisano of Mozambique, who was in the chair, said this. You let us bring our struggle for independence. Now you are leading us in this great fight against HIV/AIDS. We shall support you. I think I got my my prize. Where is she? Where is that? I got my prize at that occasion. I was very, very humbled, and really, but I also said thank you to the young man who has said those kind of things about it. But Mr. Chair, since this is a world in which we must put ladies first, is a lady what lifted her, raised her hand somewhere there? Let her be the last one.
Hi, how are you? I'm Carrie Brown with BBC. I'm wondering how serious you take President Bush's so-called commitment to AIDS in Africa. How would you advise him further?
How would you advise
President Bush is kind enough to ask retirees on this subject. I'll be very happy to be an advisor without pay. If he doesn't, young lady, there's nothing I can do. How to wait until he might, no doubt, no doubt he will ask my leaders in the area. I think. If he does, then they will help me. If he doesn't, I don't know what they can do. So it's a very good question, very difficult to answer. But God willing, we might do it next year. And I come and tell you the answer about President Bush. I hope he'll be in the chair.
Can we take one more question, because there was one down here in front here.
And there's one here.
Mr. President, I'm honored to have the opportunity to meet you here. My name is Ralph Bunche Center, I'm from Ghana. We've heard a lot from you tonight. And may I know, when can we get more information about your foundation, and also if you are incorporated in the U.S., and how can individuals contribute?
We have, I have, can I have?
Yes.
Let me take you off, Mr. President.
It's something will provide the means of knowing what's happening. And if when I meet these Africans from Zambia, I will be there and also be able to at least give you what can be done.
He also has a website for the foundation as well. Information over there. Get to it by going to the Boston, the African Presidential Archive and Research Center site. They have a bio for him. The bio. Boston University. Children of Africa. The website for APARC is www.bu/APARC. www.bu.edu/APARC.
Let's all join together and thank President Kaunda.